Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And I have with me today the lovely Elizabeth Rossi. Yes, she has such a lovely name. But before I formally welcome her, she's saying thank you already, which is good. I always start my show off with gratitude or thankfulness, and I just want to keep expressing, how thankful I am to be here. I'm having back-to-back episodes today, so I keep saying how thankful I am for each episode. So, I'm going to continue doing that, and I always do it throughout the day, just being thankful. Whatever is happening, and a lot is happening to frustrate you and frustrate me, you just, like I was saying to Elizabeth a while ago, just let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. So I am thankful to be able to let things go, hopefully. So we are talking about texting do's and don'ts. Texting here meaning like text on your phone, which is what most people do. That can be an SMS text, I would think, or like WhatsApp text. I think it more goes for like the WhatsApp text, which has gotten out of control in my estimation. And so let me tell you a bit about Elizabeth. She called herself Liz as well. I mean, most people normally say Liz for Elizabeth. Elizabeth is such a British name, Elizabeth. It just sounds so British.
I was named after the Queen, actually.
Right? You see? So I am right. So Elizabeth Rossi is a professional writer and a cum laude graduate of the University of Pittsburgh, studying technology clearly and written communications clearly. Since then, she has written over 80 guides and manuals, very good, feature-length screenplays, television pilots, so she and I need to talk, and complex articles covering an array of subjects. So let's welcome Elizabeth Rossi to Between the Lines.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. And you're in technology and communications, as am I. I am in communications. Radio is just one of the areas that I do. I'm also an author, I'm a publisher, and I work in the area of communications on a full-time basis. So PR and communications. And it irks me to see the type of language, the tone, the way how people communicate. And people think communication is just the letters, the words. It's the body language. And I mean, we have no control most of the time. So when I say it is also for me to learn as well. The body language, the eyes, the things that you really cannot control. You have to be really like a psychopath to be able to control these things. And but it's hard. It's very, very difficult. No matter how psychopathic or sociopathic I think you are, people can still read you if there is a, how would you call that now, a difference in saying one thing and your actions are another. But you're talking about, so you're talking about texting specifically, which I want to focus on. You have a book on that, the text book, which is so aptly named because it should be a manual, a textbook manual in schools.
So, people told me that they wish like schools and, would just like buy copies and pass it out to their students because, really anyone. I think it's good for anyone.
Yeah. What are some of the things that really get to you? Or why did you decide to write this book, as a matter of fact? It must have gotten to you so badly. You're like, hell, I need to do something about it.
Well, I think it actually all started about 2 years ago when I bought my mom a smartphone for Christmas. And she kept calling me, how do I, do this with the text, or how do I do this or this? And I started thinking, wow, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who could probably use this information. And because I was writing it down for her in very plain and easy steps. So the first chapter in the book is actually called Texting Basics 101, and it just covers a lot of the basics and helpful tips about, actually the functioning of texting, like how to see if the text was read or not, or how to schedule a text to send in the future, which I personally really like because, with birthdays coming up or whatnot, I'll schedule a text to send out that day to that person because I'm thinking of it and I want to do it. But sometimes on that day, you kind of get caught up with other things or something might happen. So this way, it's just a nice day, or a friend has a job interview coming up, you want to wish them luck, I'll schedule text or, whatever.
Know that was possible. So that's the first lesson I learned. How do you do that?
There's, depending on the phone carrier, some phone carrier, their texting applications have it in the application itself. So if you click on the options, you'll see schedule to send later. And if it's not in your specific texting application, then there's some out there that you can add it on, or but it's so handy. I love that one.
I think that's pretty cool. I love that.
Yeah. So
is that in the SMS text or in the WhatsApp text?
That is actually with the SMS. I don't know if WhatsApp has that capability or not. But actually, that's a really good point. I also talk about when to use SMS versus MMS and the differences between them. And so that's all covered kind of in that first of just like understanding texting and even the history of texting, how it started. And
wow.
And I get into it just a little bit, but when you think about it, the hieroglyphics back in the, ancient Egypt and all that, it's almost like little messages that they wanted to leave to their community or family, So, when I think about that, they're almost like the first emoticons.
Of course. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah. Yeah, they had some really good graphics back then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it starts. So really, the idea for the book kind of stemmed from by my mom, the smartphone, and then and just doing research. Because I thought of the name, the textbook, and then I was like, oh, I have to write this. So, and then I started doing a lot of pretty in-depth research in interviewing other people about their texting experiences and reading up. There's a lot that goes into the book from a sociological aspect and like psychological aspect and just communications. So I'm really excited to be able to share it with everyone.
Oh yeah. So let's go straight into the do's and don'ts. Okay, let's put a scenario. Boy meets girl, girl meets boy. Mm-hmm. Which is a typical one that really goes crazy. What are some of the things? So let me tell you like some things that I have encountered on a personal level. A guy is talking to me and he would speak text language. I wonder if you understand when I say text language. Mm-hmm. I am in communications, you are in communications, I'm an author, you're an author. Mm-hmm. I speak standard English, I speak properly, I punctuate, I capitalize, I put spacing when necessary, I speak proper English, I paragraph, all the basic English things. And he writes me back and says, sup, S-U-P. I'm like, what is that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
S-U-P. I'm like, what? And then when I say, what is that? He might put what's up, but not in spelled out correctly. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, okay, so I figure that's what he's trying to say, and I would respond appropriately. And then I would say, I don't speak text language because I don't really want to be going back to the Egypt days with hieroglyphics and trying to figure out what you're saying. This is 2019 and we're supposed to be speaking properly. And my thing is, I practice the habit of speaking and writing properly so I don't get into a bad habit of speaking and writing improperly. So I practice the good habit. In other words, I practice good habits so that I don't make the mistake somewhere else without even thinking and embarrass myself. So when this guy is texting me this way, I'm like, what does he say? And when I tell him I don't speak text, he gets annoyed because he feels, why am I not understanding? Why am I not communicating this way? Why does he need to put out the effort to write out an English word? And I'm thinking, if you can't even put out the effort to spell a word correctly, then what else wouldn't you put out the effort with?
That's very true. You hit on so many important points with that. Like, and I think it does, especially when starting off boy meets girl, girl meets boy, if they're not putting in the effort at that level, even to spell out words, like how much effort are they going to put in with other things?
Yeah.
So I think I completely hear you on that. There's a whole subchapter in there about, it's called A Case for the Comma. Yeah, which I have to say, I am team Oxford comma, hashtag Oxford commas too, but just commas in general are so important. And I use an example in the book that has the same exact words, but just by changing the placement, well, the first example has no commas.
Mm-hmm.
The second and third examples, just I rearranged the commas and punctuation slightly, and it completely changes the whole entire meaning.
Of course. Yeah.
So punctuation is so important, and communication too, in that sense. Like when you and you mentioned it earlier, studies have been done, I think it's like 93% of communication is actually done with our facial expressions and body language, and just a very small percentage is the words that we use. So texting is already at that disadvantage just from the get-go, because missing so much of the way that for centuries humans have learned to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
So we're starting off with that disadvantage, and then you add on top of that people using abbreviations, not using commas or punctuation. There's a lot of pitfalls that can occur with that. But
and then they use letters. Like, okay, everybody I think by now gathered what LOL means. It took me a while to get to understand what LOL is. And then some people I see IDK, which is short, and I gathered no, I don't know. And so they just use letters to shorten writing out the complete sentence. And I'm like, sometimes the entire thing is just like hieroglyphics for real,
So to that point, that's so funny that you mentioned LOL, because I actually use that specific acronym in the book. Depending on where you are in the world, LOL can have like over 100 different meanings.
Yes.
So people might think, I'm sending LOL, laugh out loud. It also can mean lots of love. Yeah. Or if you're in Louisiana, there's a group that is called Ladies of Louisiana that uses LOL. Or there's and it's in the book, they're listed out, and some of them, you can find some humor in some of them, but so you just never know, depending on the industry you're in, depending on the geographical location. That simple acronym that pretty much everyone assumes that it might mean one thing, it can mean 100 different things depending on where you are. So with acronyms, I never suggest sending them until you have an established relationship with that person, whether it's business, relationship, family member, whoever, because acronyms can so easily be misinterpreted. And in fact, I have 2 short stories I'll share with the acronyms. But in doing the research, so I had interviewed one individual, and he was having this salesperson call him all the time to try to, sell him new products, whatever. And my friend said, he was busy, and he finally messaged the guy back and just said that he wasn't interested. The salesperson messaged back, "Thanks for the FU, period." My friend was like, hold up, what kind of people is this company hiring? Yeah. So he actually contacted their corporate office and the head of sales, and I had forwarded the salesperson's email. I was like, what kind of people are you hiring here? And they said, no, that meant thanks for the follow-up.
Oh God, I would have never, I would have never thought of that. I'd be like, what, are you cussing me? I
Yeah.
haven't done that.
My mind didn't think of follow-up at first either.
Yeah,
You're
my mind
open.
didn't go there at all. And what
Yeah.
would it take? I'm listening to you, Elizabeth, and I'm like, what would it take to just spell out the words, say the
I
thing properly, and punctuate?
Yeah.
You were saying earlier, have an established relationship with the person so that you could understand. But why have to have because remember, you're dealing with different people, different times, all the time. So that means each person, you have to have an established relationship and understand each person. Just do one thing. Be right. Do the right thing.
Yeah. That's all it is, really. Yeah, so that one acronym almost cost this guy his job.
Wow.
And sadly, I do, and even, there's really, really smart people doing really, really stupid things over texting. There's a doctor, and he had authorization to, text message with his patient. So the patient had reached out regarding some medical treatment and had some questions. The doctor text message back, used a medical acronym in one of the messages that the patient misunderstood. And then the patient, because they misunderstood that acronym, did a different kind of treatment, which then ended up costing them part of their leg being amputated.
Wow.
Because of the misunderstanding of an acronym. So of course, then the doctor and the hospital, there were liability issues. So I think especially in business relationships, or you're right. You nailed it on the head. Like how much more effort does it take to just
do the right thing? Just do the right thing. Why try to be different things and try and keep up with all these different personalities? Why just do the right thing from the get-go? I just can't keep up. So I just do the right thing. I just do the right thing. I spell out everything. I punctuate. Yes, sometimes you're typing fast, and autocorrect steps in, and it may autocorrect it and assume you're trying to say this word. And when you look back, you press send. When you look back, you're like, oh crap, that's spelled wrong. So you come back now and you correct it and say, let the person know that's not really the word I was trying to say. It's this, So some people make the effort like that. Some people may leave it because they feel, oh, okay, you understood what I was saying. And then again, some people may not realize that when they hit send, they didn't look back. They just assume it was fine. But it's, something like that is an easy slip up. I could understand you're typing fast. That happens. But generally, speak proper English, punctuate, capitalize paragraph, the basic English, just stick with that, and don't try to be one way to Elizabeth, another way to Corinne, another way to John, another way to, no, that is tiring.
Yeah, it's too much. Just be authentic, be yourself, and do the right thing, like you said.
Do the right thing, and you wouldn't have, because you wouldn't have any miscommunication, misunderstanding. Another thing I noticed, because it happens to me, I type fast. So sometimes the person may not have time to look at my response to respond, And so you in the speed of typing, the essence of the conversation, you lost the ebb and flow. So you're like, what did you say? What are you responding to? What are you? So then you have to slow down. So just like a conversation like we are having, I wait for you to finish talk, then I speak, and vice versa. It's the same thing with text, and people don't realize communication is communication. The same rules apply. Yeah.
I talk about that. That's one of the pitfalls of texting that I talk about. And just to bring awareness to it is the back and forth that can be long in a simple text message. If you have too many topics you're talking about, and there's, you lose track of the topics, or it can almost be overwhelming because there's so much, like, how are you? You want to go to the concert Saturday? You want to grab dinner before you, in keeping up with the conversation rather than allowing for that natural back and forth. that happens, you know, as humans talk. So there's yeah, that's another pitfall that's discussed in the book, and how to deal with that. And yeah, so that's another good point. You're bringing them all out.
I'm telling you, because I mean, we go through it all the time. And then, you know, it's so amazing. You know, just take the time, slow down. If you don't understand, ask. It may seem annoying, ask. It's the same thing as oral, verbal communication. Just ask, I don't understand you. And just like you
Yeah.
said before, you don't have that face to face in front of you to kind of discern or try to figure out, okay, her words are not matching her facial expression. So I realize that this is what she's trying to say instead of this, you know, or seek clarity. You're only going on the text, the words on the screen. You're just going with that.
That's all you have to go on. So to that point, with the text that you get that you don't understand, or maybe you received a text that is slightly offensive, or you're like, what do I say? Probably the last, I want to say half of the book, or maybe less than half, is all sample text, like ready to send, that people can use as examples and tweak them to make them more their own, or, you know, just send as is. But one of the subsections of that is actually dealing with, sorry, I think, you know, I misunderstood that last text, you know, and there's maybe 50 different ways to ask that question. So people can read through the sample text and find one that resonates with them for that situation and send it. Because sometimes it's hard, you know, to ask some of the questions, or to say no, or different ways to say I'm sorry. And I think the one section in the back is 100 ways to say hello.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like spice up your text and give them a little. But yeah, so those sample texts hopefully can come in handy with some of those situations that you're talking about.
What's the protocol or etiquette when it comes to WhatsApp groups when there are a lot of people in there, and let's say it's work related? It's not a social group. You know, if we are friends, and let's say we're on a community group, a volunteer group, and we need to all communicate, that's one thing. The whole culture within that group, that WhatsApp group created for us as a community of volunteers, is one thing. But if you have a WhatsApp group for a work team in an office, a business environment, let's say the sales department, the marketing, the whatever department, I don't know. What are some tips that you would share for that specific organized group? Because I see some WhatsApp groups not really work related. It suddenly becomes a place where you sort of talk all sorts of frivolous things. Is not adding value. And for someone like me, I don't have time. There are so many WhatsApp groups I'm in. This is not adding value to me. It is supposed to be work related, and I don't see anything work related happening in here. So why have the group? We meet for work from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, whatever. We discuss what we have to discuss here. Why is there another WhatsApp group to do what? To have frivolous conversations on weekends after work when I really don't want to discuss or talk to you? Why? Explain it to me. Explain that to me.
Yeah, group text, you know, they're always a challenge, I feel like, because, and especially depending on how many people are in the text. And yeah, I've run across that same situation with work and with friends, and even on group messages with friends here in the Venice community. We there's probably a dozen or so of us that ladies that are just really strong friends and support for each other, and we'll message each other when things come up, or, you know, just if we want to get together and hang out or whatever. But even with that group, at times, like if someone is going away on vacation or something, they're like, hey, I don't want my phone pinging every, 10 minutes. Can you get it? Like, okay. So it's always the person's option to leave a group, or put it on Do Not Disturb if as an example, because so many messages can be overwhelming, especially when you're not really engaged with the conversation at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with the group text, going back to how we started the conversation, a lot of times you just kind of have to let it go and just go with the flow, and put it on do not disturb if you're just want to take a step back for a minute. If it is supposed to be more geared towards work related, sometimes I will tag a specific person, and I know on WhatsApp you can do that. You can use the @ symbol, I think it is, with their username.
Mm-hmm.
Tag them and then bring it back. Ask someone a question to bring it back to a topic that's more like on point with the group. So that's a really good strategy to kind of refocus the conversation.
But if you don't, you're working in an organization, and this section in the office decide to create a WhatsApp group, but you're not discussing work. But then listen to this scenario, Liz. You work from 8 to 4. You see each other already from 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. Why is there a WhatsApp group if the people in there do not even want to communicate, or there are individuals who don't want to be talking with the individuals after 4? After 4 is my life. Before 8 and after 4 is my life. I have nothing to be discussing with you before 8 unless I'm coming to work late or something, and I still will not put that in a group. That is not something to put in a group, and that's another thing we need to talk about. What goes in a group and what you make public and what you don't make public, right? Yeah. So I don't want to be talking to anyone. This is my personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Between before 8 and after 4, you're seeing people talking about things all during the weekend, all after 4, and you're like, what? This is not adding value to me. This is taking up space in my phone. Now, somebody may listen to me and think, oh, I'm just antisocial. I don't want to be part of the team. I don't want to make friends. I don't want to rub shoulders with the people at work. I do. I rub shoulders with them between 8 and 4. After 4, I don't want to rub. So I believe I have a right to my privacy and my space. Why do you feel the need to have me, to label me as antisocial or not wanting to be a part of something if I have a particular stance on how I want to live my life? Mm-hmm. Do you get what I'm saying, Liz?
Yeah, I do. And it's, I feel the same way. Like when I go into an office, because I do some technical writing for a wonderful company, and they, when I'm at work, I'm there 100%. I give them, all that I have, because, I'm all in. That's the kind of person I am. But that's the same way, though. Like once I leave the office and I come home, I'm all in here, and unless if it's an emergency, I really don't communicate with the people.
Right.
As
but does that mean you're antisocial? Does that mean you don't want to get to know people? What?
No, I've been told when I'm not in the office, it's not as much fun. So I do try to bring a lot of energy and a lot of fun, and just and try to bring a lot of life to whatever environment that I'm in. But I like my me time,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I really, because I need to clean my phone here right now, delete a lot of stuff because it's taking up space. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a lot of apps on my phone. I have the apps that are necessary for me. So I'm a very practical, when it comes to certain things, person. I'm not keeping anything in my life that is not adding value to me. And if it's not, then it needs to go.
Yeah. Why keep things around if they're draining your energy, if they're bringing negativity into your life, or they don't serve, they don't have you.
You're not making me happier. You're not bringing more joy. You're not bringing more money. You're not, I'm like, really? No, I don't need it. I don't need it. And coming back to my point about what you put publicly versus what you think. Let's say you're in a WhatsApp group with me, okay?
Mhm.
And there's something to be said. I'm going to reach you personally, what we call DM, direct message you.
Mhm.
So I'm going to DM you personally and not make that public for everybody to know our business.
Mhm.
If I have a question that I don't think is for everybody to answer or to know, I'm going to direct message you. There are some people who put it out there. I don't know. Is it attention that they're seeking? What?
You know, that's a good question. That might be a whole different book.
What?
But it's, yeah, with the group text, I do mention that in the book about kind of the etiquette of messaging, you know, private messages directly back to the sender rather than a group-wide message, because you know, I feel like today in society, people are so, it is kind of like an attention grabbing society. Everyone's putting pictures on Instagram and Facebook and all the social media, and there's a lot of like kind of look at me. So, you know, not everything needs to be out there. Like,
No, not everything needs to be out there. That's
yeah,
right.
you
Yeah,
gotta
and it creates, and you will notice, you know, Liz, that one person changes the whole air, the whole
yeah.
juju in the group. You know,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, everybody was having a good Sunday. Yeah, and then somebody might make a comment, and somebody decide, "Ooh, I'm going to say something about." Oh my God!
Yeah. In the first chapter of the book, it ends with an ancient proverb, and it's so true. And it says that life and death are in the power of the tongue, and whether that's in speaking or in texting, like you can make someone's day and encourage them, or you can, you know, send out negativity and bring people down. So. I think that's so poignant to remember that life and death really are in the power of the tongue, and how you use your words is so important. And there's a chapter in the book on just improving the subtext of your text and kind of discovering your true intentions of what you're trying to say or how you're feeling, and expressing those in a life-affirming positive way, regardless if it's a tough situation or, you know, difficult emotions that you're dealing with. Learning how to express those in, you know, in being authentic, but in a not, you know, expressing them not in a negative way, but in a way that's going to say how you feel, and allow you to kind of release them in a positive manner.
Yeah, and people are not thinking about that, Liz. And I love how you said that quote. I think that sums up everything that we are saying. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. People really are not conscious and aware of the words that they're using, how damning, detrimental, demoralizing, dehumanizing. And the thing about it is, when they say these things, it is meant to really hurt and bring you down, the other person on the receiving end. But really, it comes back to the sender. It comes back to the sender.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Because you put that out, but then you're kind of carrying that. So,
Of course. Yeah, that I can't imagine what their soul looks like. Honestly, a darkness is within that person. To want to say such, I don't even know what word to use. Such evil words, phrasing. How could somebody, how do you feel? I mean, I don't even know if they feel anything when they express such things. And it's like they take pleasure. That's the funny thing about it. They take pleasure, which tells me it's such an evil person to be wanting to say it, to plan to say it, to allow their mouth to say it, and to feel good at the end of the day.
yeah, it's I mean, it really is a shame, and I think that goes more in some of the sociological and psychological aspects of our words, of course. But you know, when I come across people like that in my own personal life and in personal dealings, rather than, like, I look at what they're saying and I hear what they're saying, but I think, you know, the same thing as you, like, what is going on in their soul and in their life.
Yeah.
So you know, I say like a little prayer for that, like, God just gives them love, because I really feel like hurt people hurt other
people. Yes, they are lacking love, and all you could do, you know, and although the human side of you may want to react and lash out or say something, but really, you feel so, no, you look at them and you're like, oh my God.
Feeling the compassion for them. And and it's so because that's not the reaction that they're expecting.
No.
But I believe like only love can change them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
yeah, you just and they're really expecting you to react in a mad, you know, vociferous way, attack, because it feeds them. They feed off of these things. So when you don't, it's like, my goodness, what else? And but you know the funny thing about it, Liz, they come amped up the next time. It's like, I'm going to do more. So I'm like, oh my goodness, you actually have the energy to do all of this. You are actually taking the time out to put all this energy. Wow. You know, really? Don't you have anything else to do?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting though, because I do think that the words we speak, you know, if it's intentional and really, you know, true to their soul, like, I feel like it sticks in their mind, and hopefully over the course of, you know, hours, weeks, years, however long it might take. But I feel like each of us have words that have been spoken to us or over us that have stuck with us.
Of course.
In negative or positive or whatever. So, using your words, whether speaking or texting, just in a life-affirming way, I think is so important.
Yeah. All we could do is pray for them, like you say. Pray for these people. And when I'm in groups and I see certain activities taking place that it's not of my nature, my spirit, and my soul, I don't engage. I would see it and just leave it alone. I don't even send an emoticon.
Not disturb and
no, because if I put an emoticon in there, somebody will interpret it to me, so I'll be like, Corinne, what do you mean by that? No, I don't want anybody jumping on me. I stay completely out. I don't even read the conversation. I just skip it, and I move on until eventually it pans out, and I'm like, okay, they're done. Next. You know, or somebody comes and say, okay, now let's move on to the, and sometimes the people who started the conversation will be like, what? No, I want to keep going.
That's all you can do sometimes.
It's crazy. But this whole world of texting, whether SMS, MMS, WhatsApp, it doesn't matter what it is. Even a letter, you know, because it's words. Even a letter, an email, once you're using the written word, we have to be very, very careful. Sometimes, you know, I'm drafting an email and I may want to be so scathing in my remarks. And I purposely don't put the email address of the person. That way, if my hand, or the devil kicks my hand and it tries to click send, it will not send without that address in there. So that's my stopping strategy, just my saving grace, just in case. So I hold back, and sometimes I'll be writing, and before I'm finished and I read it over, I just delete the entire thing, Liz, and all I say is okay. That is my favorite response. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't know how to interpret okay. Okay, it's just okay.
Yeah. You know, probably 100 different, however many people are, is probably how many interpretations of okay.
Okay. Because the first thing somebody might say is, does she mean okay? Yes. Does she mean okay? No. What does she mean by okay? And then While I am just simply saying, okay. It's neither a yes, a no, a maybe, a neutral, just okay. So you would have like 2-3 paragraphs coming at me, and all I say is, okay.
You touched on a really good strategy though, and I think it's important for people to remember with sending angry text or angry emails or something like that. I have some strategies in the book on what to do when you're angry, and one of them is write it out. Don't send it, of course, but write it out. Walk away for a couple hours, come back to it, maybe edit it. Time, you're gonna feel a little bit different and cool off a little bit. And we all, have that rush of emotions at different times, and just like taking a step back and not texting when you're in that state is a really good idea.
Yeah, the first question you should ask, do I need to respond now? Do I have to respond to this now? No. I could do it tomorrow. I could do it next week. I could never do it. I could, Do I have to respond to this? No. No. No, you don't. So that takes you away from it. Oh my goodness, we could talk about this ad nauseum, Liz, seriously, because there's so many different dynamics. It's unbelievable. But I want to hop across to your website. Remind me of the URL again.
Well, the textbook can be found on Amazon, and also my personal website is errossi.com.
Rossi, E-R?
Yeah, R is my middle name.
ER and Rossi.com?
Yep, .com. So there's a link on there to books, and it's under there. There's some other,
Hold on, I'm gonna do a quick share here so that.
Okay, great.
What I'm looking at, yeah.
Yeah, there's
right.
So yeah, under books is.
Oh, under books, yes.
Yeah. Is it?
I like this saying by Helen Keller. The
Yeah,
most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. People don't have any heart anymore, Liz. What's going on? I clicked on books, but nothing is happening.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't know why.
Nothing is happening with books. Let's see biography. Something is happening, but nothing is happening with books.
Yeah, I'll have to check that right after.
It just came up. It just came up. Okay, so the text. Not always sure what to text. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I think it surprises me because I feel like with we have this powerful little device in our hand that we can use in Next and reach out to our friends and family members and spouses, partners, whoever, and but more and more so, like the sociological reports are saying that people are feeling less and less connected.
Yes.
That was a big motivator for the book. Like, how can we connect with each other more and build those bridges and really, build those relationships over texting? Because
I don't think so. This is damaging relationships. And something came to me while you were talking, Liz. Sorry for interrupting you. I really can't stop with this one. I have to say this. You're texting someone. Let's say somebody's interested in you, or they claim they're interested in you, and all of a sudden, not just all of a sudden, but sometimes it happens. The time between texting. So you don't hear from the person in a couple of days, and you're like, wait a minute, what's happening? You are seeing the blue ticks, the double blue ticks, that they're seeing your text, you're reaching out, and they are not responding. No response at all. So you suddenly feel rejection. You suddenly feel rejection. Oh my goodness, what do you do in a case like that?
Well, it's kind of, I've been there too, of course, but, I think it goes back to being authentic and honest with people. And hopefully the book will help people be able to do that and be able to express their emotions and what they're feeling, like I said, in a positive way, whether that is over texting or IM or email or in person, because I think it really just touches on communication skills overall. But, just be honest with the person and say, hey, this is where I'm at in my life. Maybe I'm not ready. You're a great person. There's a big thing going on in LA, and I don't know if, in other areas or not, but it's called ghosting, where...
Oh my God. That is exactly, yes. Yes, ghosting. That is exactly what it is. They ghost your behind. And you're like, what the hell?
And you're like,
what do you do? But you know what I realized is not a reflection of you, the person on the receiving end who is being ghosted. It's them. It's not about you. It's about them. They are just fearful. They cannot be upfront about their feelings. They are not able to be honest. They are not able to face situations. It's not about you.
And then that raises another really good question is, is that someone, based on their behaviors then, is that even someone that you would want to explore a relationship with?
Oh my God, Liz, you hit it. You hit it. Yeah.
To look at their behaviors.
Red flag. Oh my God.
True.
Yeah, it's a big hell of a red flag. And I'm glad you said that, because we women, we don't see these things. We're like, oh my God, the emotion comes over you, like, I feel rejected. He doesn't want me. Or she doesn't want me. And you're like, what am I not doing right? Am I not, okay, I'm going to pull back. You think it's all you, as opposed to looking at it in an objective way. And saying, is this somebody I want to, who cannot communicate with me, who cannot be upfront, who is seeing my text, they're seeing it and they decide, I am not going to respond. Is this somebody I want to spend my time with, live with, or spend the rest of my life with? Oh my God, no.
Is that someone you want to spend your energy on?
Yeah.
And so I do talk about that a little bit in the book too. So in some cases, like with the WhatsApp, you see the check marks and it was read. In some cases, some texting applications, you don't know whether or not for sure that they read it or not. And I talk about that, natural delays with texting, and the priority of texting that's sent over the network communication systems through Verizon or whomever. And there's different priorities that they actually give to different messages that the networks do. So there are some different natural delays that can happen, as well as technological causes that can, make the text not go through or delayed. So in those circumstances, if you're not sure, I would reach out maybe once again, with my puppy in the background.
That's all right.
I would reach out maybe once, maybe twice again. But if they're not getting back to you, ask yourself that question: is that someone that I really want to spend my energy on?
Don't blame yourself. I want the message to be: don't blame yourself if you're on the receiving end of being ghosted or treated it that way. Do not feel rejected, because it's an emotional thing that happens to you initially. We're human, but get a grip, get a damn grip. And I'm saying this to myself too, because just like you said, it happened to you, it happens to all of us, so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something, the technology and the different apps and stuff. Do you know that they have a new WhatsApp, and people manipulate the old WhatsApp, where they don't have the red receipt, so that you can't tell if they've seen your text or not, right? So they don't have the red receipts. They check mark the no red receipt, so that if I send you something, you will see the double tick that it was sent and delivered, but not that it was read. So I can decide, I don't have to answer you because you don't know if I really read it or not. And so now they have an updated WhatsApp Blue or some kind of thing like that, I don't know, where people can manipulate. It has certain features where I can hide from you. I am like, hold up, hold the hell up. Why do you have to go through all of
that? Yeah, just be honest. Just be authentic in a nice way.
Jesus, why? Why? It comes back to just being you. Just, you want to do all this around the town texting language. Just speak properly. Just do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Oh my God.
Back to that.
Why hide and manipulate and pretend and underhand and why are you hiding? Why you don't want me to see the blue ticks? Why you don't want to know that you received the message? Why? What?
Yeah, there's no good reason. Just
But it comes back. But Liz, it comes back to what you said, and I think that sums up everything. And I know we have gone over time. What it has done, what you're saying is absolutely right. Red flags. We need to shift the paradigm of this whole technology and communication and realize I am an open person. I'm open with you. You are not open with me. That is not good. You are trying to make me feel bad. I have nothing to feel bad about.
That's right.
I'm not going to allow you to make me feel bad about something I am not responsible for. So you're actually showing me who you really are. And I don't need to have you in my space. So I am going to delete your behind out of my phone.
Right. Yeah. You can tell a lot from texting behavior in that regard. And you have to remember that.
Yeah.
It's so critical.
Yeah, it's a red flag. Don't ever see it as it is something negative about you. And I want that to be the takeaway from this conversation. It's not about you, especially if you know within your heart and soul. You are not doing anything wrong. You are not ghosting anybody. You're reaching out. You're being open. You're speaking properly. You're doing the right thing. And this person is ghosting you. This person is underhanded. They're avoiding you. They're hiding. No. No. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. Right? The textbook people. Check out Elizabeth Rossi.
Thank you.
The textbook. I am telling you, people need to understand there's a etiquette. Just like how you would sit at a dining table and there's an etiquette.
There is. Yeah, and it's all in the book.
It's all in the book. It's all in the book. Just in case you naturally don't know how to speak to people, check out the book, because clearly you need to go to school. I wouldn't be surprised. They might have schools and courses eventually, if they don't have it already, about proper texting. Jesus, Elizabeth. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Look at what the world has come to. Why do we have to reach to this? It's basic training at home. Come on. Go back to the basics.
Yeah, back to the basics. It's just like he's bringing people back. Let's
bring people back to basics. Old school, do the right thing. And stop it, man. Stop it. Elizabeth, oh my goodness, it has been a pleasure being here with you. Thank you so much for being on Between the Lines.
Likewise, this is, wonderful. Thank you for having me.